Hello, fellow gatherers of all things magic. For this episode, we interview Victor Adame Minguez, who has risen to huge acclaim since his debut in 2015. His art has fronted Brawl, Chulane Teller of Tales, and Commander, Atraxa. And speaking of Atraxa, we find out what earlier Magic card was the direct inspiration for everyone's favorite love-to-love/love-to-hate card. Victor's story on how he rose to this success is, in its own way, a Magic the Gathering fairy tale. Dreams do come true, and this guy is one talented dreamer. And now, it's interview time.
All right. So the first question is, I find your point of view on art education very interesting. You did study art, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you taught art as well.
I did. It was mostly out of just like curriculum. I wanted to I didn't know I was getting into art professionally, like creating art. And while I was in art school, I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was like, on one hand, good to support myself. And also like build some kind of curriculum in case I didn't like know what I was going to do after like graduating. It didn't pay that well, and I was failing a lot of my classes because I had like split time between teaching and going to school. So I had to quit for I just taught for a little bit for like a semester, and then I had to quit afterwards because my grades were suffering because of that.
I feel like you would be a good teacher. I've listened to some of your discussions, and I think that you actually would be one of those people who can convey ideas as well as make them through art. How old were you when you started playing Magic?
I knew the cards. Like I had Magic cards before. Like I had Magic cards when I was in like high school, or like probably before. Like as any other like kid, or like a lot of people like get into Magic because of the art. And like my friends were like, oh, you have to, like, if you're into art, you have to pick up these cards from this game. Like the art's pretty cool. So I had Magic cards, but I didn't like really get to play until I was probably like freshman in college, or like just a little bit in like senior high school year. But
Is that a trash art that was coming by? Did you hear the beeping?
Oh crap! Yeah, it's the recycling. I was wondering,
it's no worries. I mean, don't worry. When I was interviewing Magali, my fire alarm went off and all my dogs lost it. So this kind of stuff is par for the course.
I got through like halfway of that interview. I was actually watching it right now, and you were like, "Oh, this motorcycle or like lawnmower or something," but yeah. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, it was. It's a private hell for me because yeah. But my question was, is that, so you got into playing it around freshman year of college, and then you are now a pretty like established player, correct?
Yeah. I try to play as much as I can. And right now, because of the pandemic and all these things, having no play group, that sort of thing, I'm more of a collector. Like I update my decks with every set that comes out. I order the cards, I order the singles, and on top of the product that I get from Wizards, I started like building more and more of a collection than playing. But yeah, I still try to keep up and like play every once in a while.
And you had said that you had applied several times to Wizards, and you had been rejected, but you believed that was because you were not ready to really be doing the art. What do you think the final step was for you, or what do you think happened that made your artwork become ready and something that was accepted and ultimately takes you to where you are?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is one thing that I tell like people all the time. Like preparation is key. The more and some people will disagree with me, and that's fine because everyone has like a different process, right? Some people are more like exploratory, more how do they call it in writing terms? Discovery writer, right? Like they do it as they go.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, what changed the game was like getting more work done before I started actually painting, or before I started actually like doing stuff on the art itself, which is getting reference, getting a good foundation of the drawing, really like planning ahead and having a good foundation of what I was going to do moving forward in the art.
What
So
was
that's
your what was your first Magic card that you ever illustrated?
The first one that came out was oh boy, it was so long ago, like 6 years, and my memory sucks. Valorous Stance.
Pardon me?
Valorous Stance was the first one that came out, but the first one I did was it's that one for Commander that protects your commander, gives it indestructible. It's I have
I don't know
Scryfall right here.
Yeah, let's Scryfall it.
Let's Scryfall it. Bastion Protector.
Okay. Go. So you then really, I'd say lately, you've really branched out as far as experimentation goes, and I want to know, where along the lines did you pick up the ability to do maquettes? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wood carvings, you do that as well. What else do you do that would be a surprise? I mean, like, you do seem to be like a Swiss Army knife of art.
I was a very creative kid as I was gonna say as a kid. I was a real creative kid. Growing up, my dad was a woodworker, and so I was always like playing around with the tools and stuff, like making my own toys and doing like more, I don't know, touching instead of painting stuff, like more 3D kind of things in his shop. And I always had like an inclination for like sculpture, like clay sculpture, that sort of thing. I always did it as a hobby, in addition to like drawing and stuff. So that I always had there, and even like in college, I took like some sculpture classes. I took like a pottery class that went nowhere, but fine. And I had a really good friend. It was like kind of my mentor in sculpting in college. We did like a couple of dinosaurs together for a museum. That was good.
You sculpted dinosaurs for a museum?
Yeah, life size for a museum in Mexico. Yeah. I mean, I lent a hand and I was there to learn, but I did do like a Velociraptor almost all by myself, which I'm really proud of.
What, do you have any pictures of that?
I might have some on my Facebook. Probably. I don't know. Like if I'll go through them.
Yeah, because I'll definitely. I'd like to show that, because it's how do you even do that? I mean, do you have to like build like a wire frame for it? And
yeah, you have to like weld rebars and like build it up from like skeleton, and then we did we filled it up with foam and styrofoam, that sort of thing, then coated it with resin and stuff. I have no idea the materials that we used. I was not very expert in those things back then, but that got me like sort of started with sculpture and like learned the love for sculpture. The maquettes came from, I don't know if you're familiar with James Gurney. He's
yes,
which also like combines dinosaurs and maquettes. James Gurney, I bought his books. I like follow him on social media. Like, this guy was like a major inspiration for me. And the way he worked, like the way he treated the process as like this pipeline, and had the mentality or like the philosophy of like, you respect every step, you're gonna come out with like something good's gonna come out of it, even if it's not like 100% what you wanted. You're gonna get like solid work all the time. And that's where I took from, and it pays off, right? Like that's how I started to like get better.
Yeah, I mean, how long did the binding of the Old Gods take to create?
Oh boy, it was like around 140 to like 160 hours.
Wow.
Working like every day for like 8 hours.
How did you approach that? I mean, did Wizards ask if you could do it, or is that something you submitted and said, hey, I have this idea?
I always like toyed with it. I asked the art director back then, because I saw the Dominaria ones. Which one was it? The mending of Dominaria, right?
Okay.
where it's like a wood carving, like kind of like off of a tree, sort of thing.
Right.
And the other one that Vincent Prost did. There were like a couple of other ones that were like emulating sculptures or like high relief, low relief. And I always wanted to like do it physically. And I told the artist like, hey, if something like this comes out, if you have something like this in the future, like hit me up. I would really like to try my hand at it. And uh, I like they knew my credentials, right? Like I've shot them a couple of emails like saying, hey, I sculpt. Here are my sculptures too. Like if like you have some weird thing that needs a sculpture, like I'm your guy. And it was actually after this was like a point of contingency with my art with Binding of the All Gods and the one that Adam Paquette did, the Cynic one. He got his commission first. And I was like kind of we're in a Discord together, like an artist, like MTG artist
Right.
Discord. And I was kind of like peer pressuring him into like doing it traditionally, like wood carving it. And he was like, no, you're crazy. Like, no, I would never do that. That's crazy. You're crazy. I was like, no, like it's actually very feasible. Like you take these materials, like you can even like use a router to carve out the big chunks. And he started to like I started to convince him. And he got to a point where he was like, you know what, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna do wood carving and I'm gonna do like chisel and hammer, do it the old-fashioned way. And I was like, wow, I did not think he would fall for that one. It was kind of like a prank. But the way karma works is that it works really fast. And so I got my commission second. I got my commission like right after that one. I was like, oh, I got to put my money where my mouth is. Like I got to do it too.
I mean, it must be stressful to do that because I'd imagine a mistake with wood carving is much more devastating than a mistake with obviously digital or even, oils.
Yeah. You can like glue it back, but there's pros and cons to gluing it back. If you don't do it right, the glue is gonna show
Right.
through
Yeah.
like if not maybe through the photo, because you could like retouch it in Photoshop, but when the people see it, they're gonna see like a crack and being glued together, which is not appealing. Luckily, like neither of us had any issues with that, and it turned out great.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it's gorgeous that the final product. And what was the kind of style that you utilized for Kiora Best to Sea Gods? I mean, what did you use on that?
That was like based off of Navy maps or like naval constellation maps that the Greeks used. I think like mine was a little bit anachronistic in that because it was based more off of like future maps that were done on canvas, like by pirates in like 1800s, but that still believed in that same sort of mythos. Maybe not like 1800s, but
Like
way
parchment kind of
yeah
look. Yeah.
way after like the Greeks, but they still had Greek motifs and like the constellations and all that stuff. So I based it off of that.
What was the language that's written in there? Is that something that comes from the art direction? So like it almost looks like Hebrew.
No, I made it up. Like I wanted to like do something that kind of looked Greek, but not actually Greek. So having some sort of just to look, just the aesthetics. Like I just wanted to get like the Greek aesthetics and make up new letters. I actually like it, they actually mean something in the words that I made up.
What does that mean actually, if you don't mind me asking?
I was gonna say that, but it's been so long since I did it that I forgot. I mean, Kiora says Kiora, and one of the Krakens is the Slumbering Isle. What's his name?
From oh gosh, Braxis. No, something that I can't remember now. I'm blanking on it.
Yeah.
I'll be flashing it on screen with my.
Yeah, the Simic one that turns
Yes.
into the
Yeah.
Slumbering Isle, and the other one says Fasa or something in the made up language, but
is Atraxa. I gotta ask about Atraxa because
Yeah.
it's definitely that one's a big one. Is that still your? I mean, you said before in the past that it is your favorite. Is it still your favorite of yours that you've done?
No. Um, I've grown. I hope I've grown since then, or gotten better. And now, like, I finally, like, just now, I finished a couple of pieces that I can say that my traditional work is up to like par with the digital work.
So you're saying it's like oil, you mean, or something like that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, like Atraxa. I guess my interest is with the art direction. What where it comes in. Like, what would what was Atraxa's like art direction supposed to say? Like when you got it, and then how do you create something so specific out of like a sort of vague sense of what to do, or in some cases very on point. But I'm curious about the creation side.
Well, the art direction was to create a monster like that was mainly angel. Like, it had to look like an angel. Like, it had to look like one of those angels on Mirrodin, but corrupted by Phyrexia. And it was a creation of 4 Praetors, all except for the red one from Urabrask. And the way that I did it is that I based it off of a mantis. It was like an orchid mantis or something like that. And I looked at it and was like, oh, this creature looks cool. Like, I'm gonna like kind of make it insectoid like, and even some of the colors reflect that. Like, I have some pinks and some greens in there.
Is there was there any specific angel? Because I know somebody asked you this, and they asked whether or not it's Sunblast Angel, and you said you could neither confirm nor deny that. Is there lore behind Atraxa that we are not supposed to know about?
Look, I don't know any of those things. If R&D or the story team or Wizards like has it, I have no idea. I don't know about it. But when I did it, it was brand new. Like, right, there was nothing behind it. It was like basically sort of like my design with help of the art director Cynthia Shepard, and basically like there was no character, no story behind Atraxa, so like we had to build it from ground up. I based it off of the Sunblast Angel, by the way.
Really?
You heard it here first.
That's awesome. There's been a lot of speculation about that. One of the things that I noticed on your Twitter is around this time last year, you wrote, Phew, I just finished the most awesomest MTG art I've ever done. I can't wait to share next year. And I was curious what that piece was that you finished.
Last year?
Yeah, it was in March of 2020.
Huh. I have no idea.
Huh. Well,
okay. It's not out yet.
Oh, it isn't. Okay. All right.
No, I think it's going to come out in like maybe later this year, like mid June, something like that.
Okay. All right. Is it Magic?
Yeah, it's Magic.
Okay, just double checking. Because I was like, I know he said MTG, but I just needed to know. So
could have been like an acronym for something else.
Yeah, right? Like are you like, I remember reading a little bit, like there was a brief period of time when you were worried about something with your visa not getting renewed. Is everything copacetic with that now? I'm assuming that you don't have to deal with any of that hassle.
Well, actually, yeah, I do, because I moved here to the States on March last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened with the state of the world. And then I applied for extension of temporary stay as a tourist. And that didn't happen. Like, I never got a word back from them up until much later that I was doing fingerprints for something else. That actually like happened much later with like the government furloughing and all those things.
Yeah.
And my fiance and I at the time, like, we knew that we were getting married. We just didn't know like when or how or like when, right, or like where.
Right.
And I at first, like, I downplayed, like a lot of people, I downplayed. I was like, no, this is going to blow out by 2 or 3 weeks. We're not going to hear about it. And when it didn't, that's when I applied for like an extension. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it safe. Like I'm gonna stay here for like a month and just to like see if I have symptoms and stuff, and then go back. And then we started talking. We're like, okay, we're like, like it was like a kind of like the couples test, being quarantined together for
Right.
so
Yeah.
long
Hmm.
and not wanting to kill each other.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, that I was like, okay, let's get married. Like, let's get married like now, and then like we can throw a big wedding with family later
right.
after
Right.
this is all over. That hasn't happened, by the way. And I spent like since May up until October, I wasn't working at all. And this is like going back to, or I don't know if you're going to ask me if I have work coming in Innistrad or the D&D set. I do not, because I was
Oh,
not
bummer.
working. Yeah, because I was not working at the time. I couldn't legally. Um,
That
and
sucks.
yeah, I know it, but it's fine. I got a lot of stuff done personally, and life stuff.
Right. It sucks that you're a contributing member to the society, and yet that, I mean, it bothers me that people who are contributing are being stopped from contributing. Like that just seems very counterproductive.
But it's fine. Like it's what everyone goes through legally, and my permit is good for up until October this year, but I still don't have my the green card. I still don't have it, so I think I'm gonna renew my work permit, which is fine. Like
But
I didn't want.
even if you're married, you don't get to, like, isn't that sort of a, like, isn't that like a take care of that?
Well, yeah, but the government's kind of like was kind of like on a halt between like changing
Mm.
precedents and thing. Like it's all going slowly. Um, so I don't know. Like, and honestly, like I don't care. Like as long as I can work and support my family, like it's fine.
And so, do you think, I was wondering, with in regards to how you've worked with, say, for instance, when you talked about Stomp and the way that you were able to be given a chance to play with colors with that, because you actually, and it's interesting, you have like essentially a murder scene happening in a very sunshiny, uh, like, presentation. Um,
Yeah.
do you see yourself maybe one day becoming an art director yourself? Do you think that that's something that you would be inclined to?
No, it's a lot of work. It's hard work, and it's dealing with artists like myself that I don't want to do it. It is pretty daunting, honestly, and I think I'm not interested in it. Um, it's fun in some ways, but when I don't know, like it's your job 24/7. I think like going on vacation to art director land is fun,
I
but
see. Okay.
living there is this different thing.
Yeah, just because I was going over some of the stuff you've written on Twitter, and it's like it's such solid, good advice, and how to, you're not afraid to say, use your references. Don't be afraid if you're getting halted up to copy a wing of a bird in a photograph, to use that for that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. And it just seemed very grounded. Um,
yeah.
then my next question would be, do you currently own any, or own, obviously you own, do you currently have any of your original pieces that you've done?
Yeah, I have some. Would you like to see them?
Yes, please.
All right. I have to get up and get them.
That's, I will wait.
Yeah, I have folder right here.
Oh,
I have
wow.
some stuff that I can't show you in here, but I have different things that I've kept through the years. Um,
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
have this one from Theros. This one from Theros. I kept them because they're like kind of, I got sentimental, and they were kind of like breakthrough pieces for me that I didn't want to sell them.
Breakthrough in a sense of, that you got better with your craft, or they were popular.
Yeah. but I got better.
I see. Okay.
I have Corsair Captain. Actually, put this one up for sale. No taker so far. I've had offers, but none that interest me. Because like if I get an offer that I don't like, I'm just gonna keep it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
And I have this one from Kaltheim, Bound in Gold.
that is so cool.
Also put it up for sale. I want $5,000 for it, or I'm keeping it. That's how it works.
You're holding your own stuff ransom.
Right. Do I have more? No, I have other pieces from other artists. I have
Wow.
Fugitive Wizard by Mark Zug that I just traded in. It's pretty neat. I like it a lot.
I just finished interviewing him this weekend.
Awesome. He's my favorite artist from MTG.
I was going to ask about that.
Aside from myself, that I feed myself and take care of myself, he is my favorite.
Did you notice his stuff like early on?
Yeah, like his when I got into art and when I got into all this world, media, like the media is the first thing that hit me, and one of those things was Magic, right? Those like my first jump into the art world, seeing Magic cards, and his were one of like the biggest inspirations. I remember like Rocks. I think it came out in 7th edition, and then you stuck with that illustration. Like Rocks is a crappy creature, but I just love the art so much.
Right.
And Genesis also was like mind blowing to see, like all of his stuff throughout, like from like the 2000s. I just felt enamored with. I own 3 of his pieces right now. I own Samurai Moth Rider, which is my grail, my holy grail. I own it. It's not here. It's back in Mexico, and I own the sketch Knight of the White Orchid, which is also one of my favorites.
That's awesome. What would you say would be some of your favorite other pieces by other artists in Magic?
Oh boy. By other artists. Well, Mark Sugg, I like Hunted Dragon a lot. That's one of my favorites. I like Braum a lot. I'm a big Braum fan. His piece of Desolation Angel is like, I think, one of the most beautiful Magic pieces of all time. Platinum Angel, like when I got my Platinum Angel, I was like, oh crap, I gotta like do a paint over, like, well, not paint over, like reprint.
Right. Yeah, you had it was a big a tough act to follow.
Yeah, it was like big shoes to fill for sure.
It came out gorgeous though.
Thank
I mean,
you.
if it's definitely got that vibe to it, that Platinum Angel vibe, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, thank you. I actually have a folder that I save stuff for later, like to either get inspiration or to steal from. That's a joke.
Oh,
Don't laugh too hard.
Well, I was laughing on the inside. Plus,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it's sampling, right? I mean, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything so unforgiving as like if you use like a similar body stance or something. I mean, like reference photography. Is that such a sin? That kind of stuff.
No, it's not. And I always come forward with the artist that I copy from, because I always do it to like find what I want to do. And it's not going to look like that in the final. I just need like a point of reference to start from. I'm not going to like plagiarize any other works. I'm just going to like, oh, like I like that shape, that figure. I'm going to borrow it, and then I'm going to make my own reference based on that, but the final is going to be completely different.
Yeah, you can't, like with art, you have, and with any sort of art, you have to be influenced by someone, because we are, as humans, we learn to speak by imitating one another. So it's impossible for us not to imitate artists or pieces of work like music, what have you, without some sort of like impact there. It's impossible.
Yeah, 100%. I really love, going back to your question, I really love Matt Cavada's Etch Champion. Like, I think those two pieces were like phenomenal. What's the one? Fauna Shaman. I love Fauna Shaman. Like, I think like everything Ryan Pancoast is doing right now is just home run after home run.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good.
Yeah, and Jesper Ising, like I love his use of color. It's funny because back to the theft conversation, like I borrow a lot of color schemes from a lot of like palettes from Jesper because he's just amazing at it. And
Yeah.
sorry, no, I was just gonna say that it's fun because like one day he asked me like, "Hey, dude, these this painting, like the colors are so great. Where'd you get them from?" I was like, "You."
That's great.
I stole them from you, dude.
it's like the biggest compliment ever, and then he ended up complimenting himself as well.
Yeah, that was funny.
Is that it must be surreal when you have people who you consider heroes to come up to you and say, "Oh my God, I love your work," right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable because I started this as like a young kid playing Magic and collecting cards and like reading all these big names, and now I'm on a Discord with them together. Like, and
Yeah,
I share my works, and they're like, "Oh, dude, this is insane. This is so good." And I'm like, "Wow."
yeah, that's they're your contemporaries,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I can't believe it. Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, but it's well deserved. I honestly, I was shocked when I first saw what you actually look like because I just envisioned you as a much older person. I don't know why. I I feel like maybe like your name sounds mature, like if that makes any sense. But
Like a writer, I have like a lot of names. Like a writer.
yeah, it's very like very dignified, sort of like mature sounding name. And then I saw this young kid, and I was just like, wow, that young. Same with Seb McKinnon. I saw him, and I was like, I thought I was expecting like some like 60-year-old guy with like like a Viking hat or not Viking hat, but it's like somebody much older. I guess it sort of speaks to your creative strengths.
Thank you.
What would be a character in Magic that you haven't done that you would love to have a crack at?
Oh boy. I was really jelly when Jessica Thrice Reborn came out. Like I started playing around that time, like the Apocalypse Scorch era Onslaught, and that was one of my favorite characters, and Jessica and Kamal. So I wanted to crack at Jessica. Characters. I don't know. Vraska, I think, is very interesting. It would be very interesting to paint.
Yeah, you would do some interesting stuff with that one for sure.
I don't know. That's kind of a loaded question.
I didn't mean it to be.
No, but it is, and it's fine. Like it's good to like think about the stuff that you want to do because I want to say like I'm kind of at that point where they take me seriously.
Yeah.
And if I make a suggestion, they're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you have the pull now to request something if you'd like to try it out.
They're not entitled. Like I'm not entitled to get it. Right?
No,
they can say no.
But you've proven yourself, that you are somebody they can be trusted with this stuff.
Yeah. If it's in line with my strengths, then sure, I might get it. But I'm not complaining. Like I get amazing assignments all the time, and if I mess it up, is because it's my fault, right? It's not the art direction or the assignment. It's all very creative. It's all very imaginative and cool.
Yeah, no, I don't think that you come off as spoiled at all. I think that you're just being honest.
Mm-hmm. I think I would like to, like, now that I've transitioned into oil painting, I would love to do take an Ajani with oils. That would be fun.
That would be really cool because you have a history with him.
Yeah, I have two. Like, three's a charm, and also, like, speaking of the maquettes, I would love to do an Ajani figure, just like to keep for myself.
Is those maquettes, where do they end up? Do you sell those or do you keep those?
So far, like the ones that came out for Kaldheim are back in Mexico. So those I just can't get them right now. And the ones I have a couple coming out. I think you can see my studio. Well, I have some right. I can't show you.
Okay.
I can show you. I can show you like a sculpture I made that's personal work.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh wow, damn.
It's a little two-headed dragon. Mm-hmm. It's a little two-headed dragon. Yeah, I have them like all piled up.
How long does that take to do?
Around like 2 weeks. Maybe 3.
That's just that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it depends on like how much detail I want to add.
Do you ever paint them? Do they ever get painted?
Yeah, they do. Like I wanted to keep that one flat. I don't know why, but it's still paintable if I want to. Like I still need to add a base and stuff.
Are you skilled at painting them as you are with your other art? I mean, I'd imagine you are, but I'm just curious.
I have no patience. And they're pretty crude because they're like means to an end. I was actually going to make an oil painting while I was not working. I was going to sculpt that and was going to make an oil painting using that as reference. But then I was like, you know what? Like I'm just going to like flex these muscles, see where I can take it and do it as detailed as possible. But as far as painting sculptures, I mean, I can do it, but I don't think I have the right materials to do so. I'm still pretty new at it.
Right on. What current projects are you working? I mean, you're working on magic stuff right now. Are there any other things that you're working on that you are allowed to discuss?
No, it's 100% magic right now. They're my one and only client. They love me and I love them. I've been pretty loyal. And also because I don't have to, right? Like I don't have to take other clients because they're so amazing and I can make my living just of I guess like putting all my eggs in one basket is dangerous, but I don't care.
I think at this point you're in, because I listened to an interview that you did a few years ago and you had the same kind of apprehension, but at this point in time, and that was 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're good. I feel like you're sort of in the big room, as it were.
Yeah, there's always that fear, like being a freelance artist. Like, what if magic goes away, right? But if magic goes away, we have a bigger problem.
Yeah, that might mean that people have gone away because it's a pretty immensely huge popular game.
And also like, I mean, you could turn to like the video games or movies, film, other game studios. But like, if magic goes away, it means kind of like those other ones went away too. So like, we're gonna have a bigger problem than that.
And I was curious, would you ever do, because when I interviewed Mark Zug, he's done reinterpretations of his classic magic pieces. Is that something that you could see yourself doing?
Not really. I like the way they are, like flawed in everything. Like if I see something I could do better, I put a bookmark for next time. I think they're like timestamps of like how I was and like where I was at the moment and my skills back then.
But like, yeah, for instance, like he did Gaia's Cradle, but it was set during winter.
Mm-hmm.
And like that kind of stuff, like where it is not exactly the same painting, but you're taking the same sort of like space or character.
No, not really. I'd rather like given the option, like going back to something like that and doing something new, like almost 100% I would do something new. And also like magic pieces are Wizards property, right? And that's kind of like another like area that I don't want to mess with.
I see. Okay. Well, I mean, that's valid. Is there anything else that you might be able? Is there anything else that you would like to talk about before I let you go? Any other plugs? Any good stuff like that?
I have a signing coming up in May. Uh, I don't know like when your video is coming out, but if it comes out in a couple weeks.
Yes, it will be out way before May.
Okay, yeah,
Way.
you will be able to jump into that. I do signings, I say like twice a year, and this one's coming up. You can look up Mountain Mage Signature Service on Facebook. It's the group for I think like a lot of people in your videos have mentioned it. Matthew Schneider, he does my signatures, and I go through him. He's doing my signatures in a window of like, I don't know, like 3 weeks or 1 month that you can send your stuff to. So that's coming up. Like go into the Facebook group, like look up the dates and stuff, and you'll find my dates, so you can send them in cards to get signed by mail.
Awesome. Well, that's all I have for us today. So thank you so much again for taking the time to do this.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
First off, how cool were those maquettes? And the Velociraptor? I make maquettes too. Check this out. Her name is Mavis, and she took me nearly 6 hours to create. But it was worth it. Cameraman does not even believe I made this. And this is from a game called Warhammer, and that the creature is called a Terrorgeist, and it's not. It's Mavis the Maquette Vampire Dragon, and no one can tell me otherwise. Enough of that. Mavis and I have plans later for tonight. So until next time, we got a scoop.